Welcome to Building Balance with Muhammad Ali, the podcast that helps ambitious men take control of their lives through self improvement, career mastery, relationships, and financial success. Each month, we bring you powerful insights, expert interviews, and real world strategies to help you elevate every aspect of your life without burnout. Joining us today is Ricardo Flores, a sustainable business leader, angel investor, executive coach, and mentor. Ricardo has built a career around helping professionals develop sustainable leadership skills, avoid burnout, and find true fulfillment in their work. He's been recognized as a LinkedIn top voice in leadership, team development, and corporate sustainability. His insights are going to be incredibly valuable for anyone looking to create a meaningful career without sacrificing well being. We'll talk about Ricardo's early life, the importance of family values, how to develop leadership skills that create long term impact, avoiding burnout, and ultimately finding purpose in life and work. So let's dive in. Ricardo, welcome to the show.
Thank you. What a beautiful introduction. I feel honored and very happy to be here. Thanks for the invitation. I hope we'll be having a nice conversation that will make the difference for our listeners.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Very happy to be here.
So let's start at the beginning. What were you like as a kid? And were you the curious type, the troublemaker, or the one who always asks questions?
I think I was all of those. I think I was a naughty boy. Always being referred by my teachers and as a very intelligent person, very intelligent boy, but at the same time very difficult to manage, very naughty, very always looking to play and to do something else, very easily distracted by the fun side of life. So in that regard, I'm very grateful for my teachers and for my parents that found a way to keep me under control, I would say. Yes.
To deal with you, I can imagine it's a, yeah, I was one like that as well initially, but then life happened. So, did you have any childhood hobbies or interests that, looking back, shaped who you are today?
Yeah, I did. For me, the first 7 years of life are the most important ones. Is when you are a little toddler and everything is about yourself, your mind, and you are just observing. You are like a sponge, observing and listening and watching and replicating everything you see and you listen, right? So that was a very interesting part of my life. To start with, my first flight alone was when I was 3 years old, right?
Alone.
So alone. So I flew from Brazil to Portugal by myself. My parents joined me a bit later, and of course I had family waiting for me. But all those experiences always exposed me always threw me to the situations, right? So with pretty much no preparation, no teaching, that you are gonna do this, just jump
Yeah,
and do it,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So my dad, a very older man than my mom, more conservative Portuguese, so European, more conservative, stable, strong man, a leader, businessman. My mom more artistic, more on the art side of life, more younger, more progressive. So I think I am a little bit of those both worlds. And for some reason, life threw me some curveballs that from very young, and I had to just jump and do it. Right. So my this built a person that from the beginning was traveling quite often. I remember one day in my life, I probably was 5, 6 years old, that I asked my mom, "Aren't we going move soon?" Because we were living in the same house for a few years. I can't remember exactly for
Okay.
sure. I was feeling this willingness that let's move, let's go somewhere, let's do something different, let's be in a different house. And so often in my life, I was out of my comfort zone. Often in my life, I was in a different country. Often in my life, I had to rebuild all my friendships and learn how to make friends and going through two different but slightly different cultures and even languages. So yeah, I think that built who I am today. And still this day, I travel a lot and I love traveling. I love meeting people. I love meeting new places. Not tourism, but blend with the locals, understand how they eat, understand why they eat that way,
Yeah.
understand how they think.
Yeah.
So, and you asked me about hobbies. I've been always very active young boy and a teenager. So always into sports, and very young. I think I was 11 years old. I started playing basketball, and I did it until I had to be responsible and and make my own living because basketball was not paying the bills. And and discovering life. I remember that I was 10, 11 years old. I started playing with my dad's photo camera. At that time with the analog film, all of that.
Yep.
I was playing with that and taking photos. Today, it's one of my hobbies. I do photography, as I already published one book about photography,
Wow.
about my photos. So it's interesting your question because when we look to someone, one way of understanding who we are and why we are the way we are is actually look into our first 7 years of life and
Exactly.
how things happen.
Yeah, yeah, and that's something I emphasize a lot on whenever, like, in these conversations as well, because a lot of times when you're so busy in life and you're a professional, you're dealing with responsibilities and then growth and all of that, but then you don't get the time to take a pause, right? And I believe moments like these, conversations like these, are when we can really talk about these things. So I really appreciate you sharing these things about you. So building on this, how did your upbringing influence your views on success and work-life balance?
Interesting question. So, as I mentioned, my dad was a very strong person. My family comes from the footwear industry, so he was a leader himself, was creative, but he was a hard man. So, he created in me this mindset that life is hard, and which today I'm teaching myself that it's not that way.
Okay.
It's not, life is not hard. We can
Okay.
make it hard, but all the teaching I got from them, from
Hmm.
both my parents, were life is hard, and to win in life, you need to be the best.
Hmm.
Um, and he was always telling me that his father, that was owning a factory, invited my dad to go work on the factory as the successor. And his first job was sweeping the floor.
Okay.
And my dad tried to pass the same message. You are my son. We have a comfortable life. I own a business, but life for you will not be easy because if I make your life easy,
Hmm.
you'll not be prepared for life. So first is this concept of life is hard and you need to work very hard. You need to be the best
Hmm.
to win in life. I challenge that today.
In our culture as well, we are taught the same thing,
Yeah.
that life is hard, huh? And you've got to be same thing happened to me until I was in a situation in my career where things were like really nice. So before that, when I was like, everybody struggles, nobody has figured it out initially, right? So maybe that part is people confuse that with a hard life, because it will never be constant, right? Even with a stable business inheritance and all of that, you would have a stable life. There will be ups and downs, and that's how you deal with life, right? And that should be taught as normal, right? Instead of saying life is hard and you wouldn't survive if you don't work hard. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I believe
Yeah.
in
It's
hard.
it's
Yeah, yeah, please, please,
It's
please.
it's exactly that. So today I'm living this in this period of challenging those teachings and actually understanding that life is beautiful. Life is full of opportunities every single day. We need to look at ourselves and ask ourselves to do the best we can. and the best we can is good enough, right? When I was teenager, I was coming back from home from school with a test, super
Okay.
happy that I got 80% in math,
Okay.
super happy.
Mm.
And often the question was that the highest grade in the class?
Mm.
And I said, no, my colleague X and my colleague Y, they got 85 and 89. Okay,
Mm.
that's not good enough.
Comparison.
Ne- next time you need to be the best. So I love my parents. I'm not criticizing. They did the best they could,
Mm.
and they did the best they
Mm.
knew. And of course, life was very, very, very different at that
Mm.
time than it is
Mm.
today. But for our listeners, I think the most important is that life is beautiful. It's full of opportunities. We just need to allow ourselves to observe, to listen, to read, to learn, to give ourselves to life, give ourselves back to life,
Mm.
and to do the best we can.
Yeah, and it's okay not to be the best in the room always.
Absolutely.
Sometimes naturally you get into rooms where you are the best, but I think for young parents especially, if you instill that in your kid, first of all, it will shatter their confidence, right? Because they're always, even if first of all, the pressure of performing the best, and then when they don't perform that well, or somebody else performs a little better than them, then they're just thinking, what will happen now, right? And that like that shatters confidence in a lot of people. And when I talk to people in the later stages of their careers, even then they haven't really, that's one of their unresolved issues, right? And I think young parents need to be very careful about this,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, 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 for sure.
Yeah, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was about to say that later on, I was a parent and I had these two beautiful girls with their own personalities and challenges, and each one of them completely different from the other.
Mm.
And that I think was the moment that things changed, because now I had to protect them. Now I had to take care of
Mhm.
them. My first and my eldest daughter, she was terrible to eat. Terrible, 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 terrible.
Oh,
Since the very first few days in life.
okay.
And it was impossible to make her eat properly. And of course, it was a concern, right?
Mm.
For myself and and the way I found to overcome that um, challenge was with love and patience. So I understood that pushing was not going taking us anywhere.
Mm. Mm.
It was just about a lot of games and intelligent games around the problem. It was very much about patience, understanding that sometimes it doesn't make sense to bump into the wall will not move.
Mhm.
You need to find ways of how can I influence her and make her do something that is good for her, but she doesn't know, and obtain something from her that will be a win for her, win for us, and of course it will be a protection. That taught me that is how we deal with people, right? So
Yeah.
that is how I deal with people today. When in my career, I deal with my colleagues, my superiors, the people that work in my teams. That is how I deal with them. It's with respect,
Well.
with communication. It's with intelligent ways of lead people to do something that is good for them and is good for the community. Yeah, and that brought me later on to coaching and mentoring, where I use all those skills, let's say.
And before we dive into the career, just to be clear, with your daughter, there was no medical reason. It was just right. So that because I'm asking because my daughter is 4 months old and she does, so she drinks and then she spits it out after a while, and then we're figuring it out. So apparently it's not medical, but it's just that she does it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, no
So,
medical reasons, quite frustrating. The doctor once later on, because still today she eats well, today, not too well, but she eats well, but
mm,
she takes an hour. Everybody finished the meal in
she's
half
me.
an hour.
She's me. I'm one of those. And with me, I have to have something like a show, a Netflix on, in order to eat.
To
So
be entertained.
it's so common these days. So I think nothing to worry about there. So and okay, so from your personal values, let's move into your like professional world. So you've built a career centered around sustainable leadership, right? So something many young professionals aspire to, but often struggle to understand. So you've built a career in sustainable leadership, and then what does that actually mean? First of all, because not everybody knows that, and how can young professionals integrate it into their careers?
Thank you. Thank you for the very powerful question and not so easy to address. The reality is that if you look to my career today, I usually even have difficulties how to describe myself because I did so many things in so many different fields that for some years, for a few years, I was actually thinking that was a weak point. It's like, now you are an accountant, now you are an IT developer, now you are doing this, now you are doing that, now you are in marketing, now you are in sales. But actually today I think that is not a weakness, is actually a strength.
Yeah.
Few years back, 5 years back, I joined the organization I lead today, Tradewinds Experience, which is a values-driven global organization in the tourism industry.
Okay.
And until then, was as many of us, as many of our listeners today, I was conscious of the challenges we live in our modern life. I was conscious about the challenges with global warming, with the environment,
Mhm.
with the environmental disasters, with house in some countries we have 5% of people living comfortably and 95% living with you know very difficult situations. I was conscious about all of that, but always thinking, what can I do? It's not my job, but it's the
Mm.
government's
Mhm.
job to find the solution. It's science that should bring the solution.
Mm.
It's technology that should bring the tools to solve the problem. What can I do? When I joined this organization, Tradewinds Experience, as I said, I usually call it, my wife doesn't like me to say this, but I usually call it a hippie organization because it's a company where we do things totally out of the box.
Okay.
And definitely you haven't read about why we take that decision. You haven't read that in a book, in a
Mm.
management book. So we are a little bit out of the box. And I joined this organization and found people that were fully committed with the environment, with nature, with doing things in a different way. Not
Mm.
because it's a marketing tool, not because we want to attract more customers, but just because we think it's the right way to do.
Mm.
Coming from a big American corporation, that was a big switch.
And for our audience, if you could tell them what was it before?
Okay, before I was working for Oracle Corporation, an American,
Yeah.
one of the biggest companies in the world.
Yeah.
Totally different environment, so sales driven,
Sales driven.
you know,
Mm.
targets is the most important thing. Loved in a way, loved to work there and was happy and comfortable in that environment. And
Mm.
then suddenly I changed to this
Okay.
Tradewinds, to this new company with a different way of doing things. And I had to adapt myself. It was not easy. I'm not saying I had to change myself, right? And I learned with my colleagues that, there are other ways of doing things. There are other ways of being successful. There are other ways of, having a successful business and having a successful life as a leader, as a manager, as an employee,
Mm.
without harming our colleagues, without
Mm.
harming the environment, without harming the community. right? And that started growing in me to a point that I became totally committed with this new way of seeing things. Then I realized that actually, who can change the world are not the governments, are not. It's not the science, the business leaders, the markets, the
Yes.
business organizations.
Yep.
We are the ones that can change the world. If we do things differently, if we create more sustainable products, if we use sustainable processes, if we respect our colleagues in our workplace, if we respect our customers, if we respect the community and we give back to the community, if we do all that, again, we do what we can. If we do all that, then we are changing the world, because then there is the ripple effect.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Everything you are doing, someone else is watching.
Yeah.
Your child is watching.
Yes.
Your neighbor is watching. Your colleague is watching. Your competitor is watching.
Hmm.
So by doing something positive that creates positive change, you are actually not only acting yourself, but you are
No.
giving the opportunity to others to join that same movement. So yes, I'm very grateful for Trade Winds, and we are absolutely committed to sustainability. We do everything we can, and I feel that it's still not enough.
The yeah, I think about this a lot as well, like in the in a slightly different context where there's certain charities that I support, but there's only so much you can do. You cannot really, with money, you can solve a bit of it, but I think fixing the root cause is always the solution, right? And in the end, we won't be able to fix everything. But I think if we're able to do something significant with our life, that would be a good job. Right. So, okay, but coming back to the question, so how can they integrate into their careers? So like taking the way you did it, you made a shift as well. So the challenge would be in such cases, some of the organizations, they're not ready for out of the box thinking, and that's one challenge. The other thing would be for anybody at this stage would be how can they learn about balancing profit and purpose in business, because money is an issue and it solves a lot of problems. We agree with that, right? So how can we balance life in a way, career in a way that we purpose and the
It's a
profit?
very interesting question, and one that keeps coming to myself in work discussions, in my work as an advocate, in my work as an angel investor in Africa, keeps coming, right? Because at the end of the day, we live in a world that was shaped by an economist, an American economist,
Mm.
Milton Friedman, that he stated the theory of shareholder value. So
Okay.
basically, Milton Friedman said that the role of a company, the role of a business is to create profit for the shareholders. That's
Mm.
it. And this influenced the world from the anti-80s, last century. And that is what we live. We born in this world.
Mm.
We watched companies doing
Mm.
exactly that,
Mm.
searching for profit,
Mm.
completely sales driven, figures driven. And this is going on for 60, 70 years old,
Mm.
if not more. The reality is that while the companies are focused on profit only, we
Mm.
see mental health issues coming
Mm. Mm.
up. We
Mm.
see tragic environmental disasters. We see completely disrespect for
Mm.
the community, for the society in many cases. So we see products that they are very convenient. These days we go to the supermarket. If we don't want to cook, we can order food, we can buy a pack
Mm.
of something that we
Mm.
stick on the microwave and
Mm.
suddenly, ta-da, dinner is ready. So
Mm.
all that is very convenient, but
Mm.
at what cost,
Mm.
right? At, at the cost of our own health.
Yeah.
Let me start there. And at the cost of all the plastics around us, all the chemicals, all the bad stuff surrounding us. So we are doing well in terms of searching for profit. We are doing well in terms of building sales-driven organizations, highly competitive, but we are creating a lot of damage around that in ourselves, people, and in the environment. So this is not sustainable. This is what sustainability means. This is nothing. This is not anything that we can carry on doing and expect a better future, because it can only get worse, right? So sustainability is about introducing other values to the business. It's not only the shareholder value. There are other stakeholders in the business: the market, the society, the people that work for the organization, the environment, and the environment around us, the nature. So how to balance this? And this is the magic word, balance, right? Because I don't want to sound naive and think that, okay, now as a business leader, as a business owner, I'm going to take care of the nature. I'm going to take care of my people, and that's it. I'll be happy because, we still need money to live in this world, right? We still need profits.
Yeah.
And here is where I usually ask people to think that how we see sustainability these days, it's not only about the environment, because when we talk sustainability, our minds quickly go to the forests, the oceans, nature, all those beautiful places, and also the places where we are having issues. But sustainability is not only that. Sustainability is also about people, and sustainability is also about development, prosperity. So this is known as the bottom line theory, the 3 Ps: prosperity, planet, and people. So if we balance these three, right, myself individually or myself as an organization, if I balance this, then now I'm not only looking for my financial gain, I'm also looking for my financial gain, because,
Yeah.
guess what? To do the right thing costs money.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I still need to find ways to have a profit. I still need to find ways to develop myself, to develop my organization. But I cannot do that at the expenses of my colleagues, of my workers. I cannot do that at the expense of the community, the society around me. I definitely cannot do that at the expense of the environment. So I need to find ways. How can I balance that? How can I create prosperity, create profit for myself, for the organization, and for everyone that works with me, all the families that depend on my business, but at the same time create a happy place. Remember, most of the time we live in the company.
Yes.
We live at work.
Yeah.
Right? We have our families, we have our friends, but we spend much more time with our work colleagues than actually with our friends and family. So we are happy at home. We are happy with our friends. How can we be happy as well at the workplace, right? So this is the balance, the relationship between, profit, but also planet and people. And all this can only be achieved if you also balance, and that's why I say balance is the magic word here. You also balance purpose. Why you do what you do. If you own a company, if you run a business, if doesn't matter what your role is in the society, why you do it, right? And how you want to do it, what leader you want to be. You want just to join the pack and be another one doing as everyone else, and working hard as much as you can to make the more out of your work, to have the best profit possible. Or you want to be different, or you want to be a modern leader, you want to be a responsible leader, you want to be a leader that people respect, not just because you are the one that runs faster and is more intelligent and comes with the brightest ideas, and at the end of the day drives the best car and has the biggest house in the neighborhood. So we start with the purpose. Why you do what you do, who you want to be in life.
And if we like success, we're talking so far, we're talking about life purpose and career, right? And balancing profit and balance, but profit and purpose. But success is great, even if we achieve both of these, right? But it can come at a cost if you're not careful. So many professionals face burnout. That's one thing. Like I I I've been a victim of that as well. And it's not always the workplace that affecting you a lot. It's life, right? You're dealing with so many things, and as a man, you have to, like, your family is looking at you. You have to lead the way. You have to manage. You have to take a lot, right? So I think by naturally we are built that way, that we do take a lot. But then there are moments when it's too much, huh? And that burnout, how do we navigate that?
Yeah, you say something interesting. It's not only about the workplace. Basically, what I hear you saying is that sometimes we impose that to ourselves.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
and that is true, right? I had moments in my life. Remember my lovely dad that I bless him so much for everything he did for me, and I love him to bits. But he created this thing that Ricardo has to work from sunrise to sunset and even more, right? So I had periods of my life that I was that person that I was not there for my family. I was not there for my friends. I was not enjoying life. Well, I was enjoying life because I love working, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I was so committed and so much working so hard that I was bringing myself to that spot of that dangerous spot. I don't think I ever been in a situation of burnout. I don't think. But
Okay.
sometimes we don't recognize, right?
Yes, exactly, exactly. Because we're used to it.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that I was imposing that to myself. Right?
Awesome.
I was a leader in the companies I was working on. And so it was not someone telling me, you need to get this done today, every day. And I needed to work 16 hours, 14 hours every single day. Nobody was telling me that. I was
Mm,
doing that
mm,
because that was my mindset. That was my belief at the end of the day because I loved working. Right. But sometimes it's the workplace. Sometimes it's the company culture.
mm.
Sometimes it's the leader. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's, I don't like the world, the word, but let's use it because in
Okay.
this case, I don't think leader applies. It's more the
Yeah.
boss. Sometimes the boss tells us you need to work as many hours as
Possibly.
possible. But yes, many times it's ourselves because
Yeah.
we want to achieve more. We want to be the best. We are in
Yes.
this rat race that we want to win in life, and we believe that this is the only way to win. And there are moments that we'll have to do that. There are
Yeah.
moments that, yes, there are moments that, yeah, you have this big project to complete. You
Mm,
have a challenge in your life, on your organization that, you know, there is not 9 to 5 to get it done.
mm,
You need to do what needs to be done,
mm,
right? But when that is for a limited period, it's okay because there is a goal, there is a commitment, that as soon as this is completed, is finished, you go back to your normal life. Problem is that many of us are living in
mm.
that pace continuously,
Continuous.
year
Yeah.
after year after year after year. And this causes, and of course, this always been there.
Mm,
And with the pandemic, became part of the boardroom agenda.
mm.
So now everyone talks about mental health issues, and thanks God for that,
Yeah.
because it's a real issue.
For sure.
But
Yeah.
the problem is not new. The challenge always existed, and it's important that we all are aware of the problem, and we are all able to recognize the signs. We
Yeah.
are all,
That
as
was
I
I would
said,
ask you the common signs.
yeah. Well, I'm not an expert, but based on experience and experience with others around me as well, because yes, I had and I will have again, I'm
Mm,
sure, because life is life happens. I had people in my organization
Mhm.
showing, signs of exhaustion, irritation,
Mhm.
frustration, anxiety. So
Um,
all those, I feel anxious. Is that because I have a mental illness issue? Is because I'm burnout?
mm,
Maybe,
mm,
but that is isolated doesn't mean that, right?
mm, mm,
But if I feel anxious and I feel um, I'm I always feel that life is overwhelming. I can't
mm,
cope with it.
right,
I'm not enough.
mm,
It doesn't matter how much I do. I'm not enough. I avoid responsibilities. I procrastinate.
mm,
So when I have something to do, okay, tomorrow,
mm,
later. Now let me see this, what's going on LinkedIn. Now let me do this other thing. Let me read something about this. So I'm always trying to avoid the situation. I can't sleep. I don't sleep well, right? I feel one thing I had in the past quite often is headaches,
ah,
often headaches,
mm,
headaches, muscle pain, that feeling that your entire body is aching.
yes,
Yeah. So when you have a few of these symptoms
instant,
combined, then you should pay attention to what's going on, and we should pay attention to what is your routine, what's going
mm,
on in your
right,
life, how is
right,
your life.
right,
That's
right,
time for press pause,
yeah.
yeah, press pause, and do some self reflection.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't do it. Like I think self-reflection can fix a lot of things. Self-reflection can make you aware of a lot of things that you're not looking at clearly, and for that, it is essential that we pause, right? So it hits everybody differently burnout,
Absolutely.
and everybody is made different in that you some of us can cope with a lot, and some of them they just can't function if they're facing burnout. So uh uh okay, if someone realizes if they're heading towards burnout, what are some practical strategies you personally use? You've talked about them a bit, but specifically um to maintain balance while leading and mentoring others. So when you're in a situation where you're leading a company or maybe mentoring someone, this is where it's very important to balance, because now it will not just affect you, it will affect others as well.
Yeah.
So how do we deal with that? Some
Yeah.
practical strategies you would advise.
Yeah. Well, I would start by how to prevent, right?
Okay.
How to not get there, to get to that point, right?
Okay.
And from a sustainability point of view, because again, sustainability is also about people. From a sustainability point of view, we need to think our mindset has to be life is a journey, is a marathon, is not 100 meters race, right? We can have 100 meters race and, work to exhaustion for one day or two or three. And that will happen to all of us in
Right.
our lives, right?
Right.
But it's not sustainable. It's
Yeah.
nothing that you can do continuously and expect everything will be fine. Your body will suffer. Your family will suffer. And the issues will start coming, as we just mentioned. So in terms of prevention, I would start with our diet. We often we often think about this, but what we eat, our intakes, is very, very important and
Mm,
affects not only how fat I am or how fit I am,
mm,
affects also your brain,
mm,
affects also your energy,
yeah.
affects everything
Yeah.
basically. So we should pay much. We will not discuss diet here today, or maybe we are.
A little bit.
But yeah, but it's very important that we eat healthy. And eat health in a few words is, for me, pay quite a bit of attention on that. Avoiding sugar, avoiding as much as possible ultra processed foods, those that we pick from the supermarket and they are ready to go.
Yeah.
Chips, this and that. So avoiding as much as possible processed foods, as much vegetables as possible, and as someone says that our food should be the closest possible to earth.
Okay. As natural as it could be.
Absolutely. So paying a little bit of attention to what we eat, it
Okay.
will help a lot. It will help us to
Yep.
be stronger, to be more energized, to be the mood has to do with that. So that's a big one. Exercise, you know.
Yep.
I said at the beginning of this episode that I used to play basketball until I had to pay my bills. And since that moment, I've been sitting on a desk most of my life, right? If we don't do anything to fight this, then yes, burnout will come,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
right? So it's important that we exercise. Oh, but I can't do this, I can't do that. Do something. We all can walk,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Or at least most of us. Go out for a walk. Walk for 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the afternoon. You are exercising. And while you are exercising, you are thinking, you are doing your self-reflection. You are preparing yourself. You are preparing yourself for the day. You are thinking, okay, today I have this meeting, and then I have to
Mm.
study this, and then I have to do that. So it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
One that I struggle to because I was the naughty boy, remember? So I still struggle with a few things, and but it's powerful journaling.
Ah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Please say that. I say that a lot and people don't get me. So please.
Yeah. So journaling is really powerful because it's a moment of self-reflection. Again, it's the way I see it. There are many methods and people that have different ways of doing it. For
Mm.
me, it's just a moment that you pause. For me, I like to do it in the morning. I usually wake up early before the rest of the family is up. Still dark. Many times it's still dark outside, and I grab a cup of coffee, and the first thing should be grabbing the journal. Doesn't need to be a fancy notebook, can be any notebook. Yeah, that's it. Some wait for the fanciest, the perfect notebook so I can do journaling. That is just avoiding. That
Yeah.
is just our brain creating avoidance, right? So anything will do. You are not writing to read, you are just having a conversation with yourself. This is how I see it.
Exactly how it is.
You can wake in the morning. I don't know what I'm going to write about it. Sometimes I struggle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Okay. But just let it flow. Let
Yeah.
it create that habit. And basically, you are having a conversation with yourself,
Yeah.
right? You can throw that page to the bin afterwards because
Mhm.
it's not about reading what you wrote. It's not about, let me see what I wrote 1 month ago. For me, it's not about that. It's just an opportunity. And there is something special about writing and not just
Yep.
thinking
Yep.
or speaking, because you can also meditate. And
Mm.
I also recommend that. And I
Mm.
also try to do that as a
Mm.
routine. Apparently, there is something special about writing.
I
And
think really I heard somebody, a professional talking about this, neuroscience expert talking about this. So there are some cells that are activated when you're thinking and moving your hand, writing in and visually seeing,
yeah,
and that helps with visualizing and manifestation as well. So yeah, yeah.
yeah, I read about it. So I struggle with that, and I believe, based on observation and people that come to me, I see that happening to many of us. So we struggle to keep the habit,
Hmm.
right? In my case, for instance, I travel a lot. Now I should be journaling, but I need to go to the airport. But again, if you have the habit, you'll always find a way. You'll always find you can write in any place. You
Hmm.
can be on a coffee shop, you can be on an airport, you can be at home, you can be at the park. Your
Hmm.
children are playing,
Hmm.
and you just take a little notebook with you and you just
Hmm.
use that time to but creating the habit for me is a challenge, and I believe for many other people is equally a challenge, but worth trying because it's really powerful.
Yeah, and these are what do you call uh exceptions that I'm going to talk about is like people with ADHD. I am one of those. I forget a lot. I have this attention thing where yeah, I'll get lost, and and building routines, like consistently following a pattern, becomes difficult, and it's always a struggle. So I get your point, but obviously this is a different conversation, very
Yeah,
extensive. But okay, so
another
we
day.
another day, another day. So we've talked about a balance and leadership. So let's get to something deeper. So purpose. We've touched upon it a bit. At the end of the day, success isn't just about money and job titles, right? It's about impact we leave behind. And what impact do you hope to leave behind through your work in leadership and sustainability?
Yeah. So I'm really obsessed is not a positive word, I guess, but I'm really obsessed about what's happening around us and obsessed about we need to do something to change. When I think about purpose and legacy and what I'm looking for to leave behind me, it's all about change, right? And we all can change. We don't need to be the president of the country. We don't need to be the down of or the president of the biggest company in the world. We all can help to change the world a little bit, right? So what I'm seeking to leave behind is change, is positive change that leads to a better world, that leads to happier people. Can I change the entire world? Maybe. I don't know.
In a way.
Aiming the entire world in my existence? Not really. But if I change my family, if I change my friends, if
Yeah.
I change my company, if with my company I change my suppliers and I
Mm.
change my customers and I change my competitors,
Mm.
because with TradeWinds experience, for instance, we are very committed with a few things in the sustainability area. For instance, we are implementing, we do sailing vacations. So we own boats, yachts all
Okay.
over the world. And of course, yachts have a diesel engine and they
Mm.
create pollution. And of
Mm.
course, yachts go to beautiful places and
Mm.
where the corals are and the marine life is beautiful. And when you have one or two or three boats, it's okay. When you have 500 boats
Mm.
going to the same place, then
Mm.
it's not okay
Mm.
anymore, right? So we introduced the electric boats. We
Okay.
we are in the journey of adding electric boats to our fleet.
Oh, wow.
So we are a small company in the big scheme of things. In our industry, we are a small company, right?
Okay.
So even if 100% of our fleet is electric, we create enough um, change to actually impact the
Mm.
planet?
Mm.
No, no.
Mm.
It will
Mm.
be almost nothing, right? So why you do it? Well, because one, we are doing everything we can. And two, because we want all our competitors to follow us. And if all our competitors follow us, then we are making a difference because
Mm.
now it's not just us. Now it's
Mm.
the entire industry following the same path. So when it comes to legacy, and it's about this, is about using my voice as an advocate for sustainable leadership, engaging with other executives that think the same way, influence other executives that don't think the same way. So it's creating this butterfly effect of this
Mm.
ripple effect that
Yes.
stumble is not just about me, it's about everything that I'm creating around me
Yeah.
with my voice, with my example, with my company as an angel investor. And I lived 15 years in Africa. I love Africa, and I'm very committed to support startups in Africa. But I would love to see different
Mm. Mm.
business, different startups, different
Yeah.
ways of doing things. So all
Yes.
this concept of sustainability is in this mission of
Mm.
angel investment as well. How can we support younger generation to come with bright ideas of doing different things?
and and letting giving them the space where majority is operates in a certain way. Remember how we talked about it, giving them a space that they can do things differently in a sustainable way, and then they will be most welcomed and they can progress doing that as well. So beautiful, beautiful. And to these even the founders you invest in, or anybody you mentor or lead. So, if you could give one piece of advice, so for any young man to searching for purpose and fulfillment, what would it be?
I think we need another hour. um, it's very nice to be in the place I am these days because I'm not a young guy anymore, but I've been and I made mistakes and I was doing everything I'm saying don't do it, right? So I'm not judging anyone. I'm not in a position that give you a prescription that life will be amazing if you follow this. I'm just saying that I made those mistakes, right? I worked very, very hard to buy the biggest car and fanciest house. I did all of that, right? And that's fine because life is not about the destination, it's about the journey. So all of that was part of my experience. What I am today is built out of that. So I'm not judging anyone. I'm not saying don't do it, but I am very lucky because I have the opportunity to meet a lot of people. I'm in Portugal right now. I just came back from Mexico. The week before was someone else. And Central America, Caribbean, Africa, South America. I've been in South America recently, Europe, of course. So I'm lucky enough to have all these experiences. And then I become an observer in life because I'm in a certain place. They live in a different way. I'm not there to judge or to try to change them. I'm just observing. And everywhere I go, I understand that we are all interconnected. We are all the same. We are all looking for the same. We are
Yeah,
all one at the end of the day.
beautiful.
So, piece of advice, I would say travel, definitely. And by travel, I mean stay curious because not everyone. There was a moment in my life that I couldn't travel. My life would not allow. I didn't have the means. I could not. At that time, it was not as easy as it is today. But many people can and some people cannot.
Mm.
But even if you cannot, travel in a different way. Stay curious, research, read. I love books. I love reading and I love writing. Stay curious. Don't live in a box. Don't take everything for granted. Um, and other very important thing is what's your purpose, what you want to achieve, why you do what you do. Because at the end of the day, even if you don't achieve what you want to do, you are a winner. Because as I mentioned a few moments ago, life is a journey. It's about the experience. It's about what you are learning. It's about what you are doing more than what you are going to achieve.
And thank you. I'm taking a pause because I'm in a phase of life where this advice hit me differently. So thank you for that. Thank you so much. And thank you for this incredible conversation. So before we wrap up, let's do a quick rapid fire. Okay. So just a very quick one. So first, or one book recommendation for young leaders.
One book recommendation. Oh my God. That means I really don't know. I think our generation lives one challenge, especially men lives is going through a challenge that is generational. And again, I'm not judging our parents, but came from what they told us, what they teach us, what they taught us. Mr. Nice Guy. It's a very good book that I think every man at some point in their lives should read.
So one habit that changed your life.
One habit that changed my life: eating,
Eating
eating
like
healthy. Yeah,
okay.
sustainable, a sustainable diet, a healthy diet.
Okay. That means avoiding sugar and highly processed
Avoiding
food.
sugar, eating as much vegetables as possible, and avoid ultra processed foods. I stopped having soft drinks. I still need to be better with water, but I'm getting there.
And the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I think the best piece of advice I ever received is around staying curious, staying open-minded, staying keep your mind open and your heart open, and just observe, don't judge. Yeah, stay curious. I think it was the best advice I ever received.
Beautiful. Thank you, Ricardo. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. And I know our audience will take away so much from this conversation. Really appreciate this. And to our listeners, if you found value in this episode, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, and share this conversation with someone who you think needs this. Until next time, keep building balance, purpose, and fulfillment. Take care.